What is up, Honey Badger Nation? This is John Kitchens, and welcome to episode 138 of Expert Mentors Live. I'm really excited for today's episode. We've got Mr. Brian GSD Daly on with us.
Yeah.
And we're going to chat, man, how to beat big tech and win more listings. Brian, what's up?
Hey, John. Thanks so much, man. I'm excited to be here.
Man, I'm glad to have you, and welcome to the Honey Badger Nation. Say hello to all the Honey Badgers out there tuning in.
I love the name. I'm new to the Honey Badger Nation too, so I'm gonna try to live up to that moniker.
It's been a fun ride for us building out this community, and there is a ton of badgers out there and in this community, and I know get the email from Mr. Whistles saying, "Hey, we need to get this guy on." I'm like, "Yes, sir," as fast as we can. So cool, man. For everybody listening in, new Honey Badger, tell folks a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I actually just joined up with EXP. I'm a late adopter apparently, but so I've been in real estate since 2005. I've done pretty much all of it. I've loan origination, mortgage processing, transaction coordination, real estate sales, REO asset management, wholesaling, apartment syndication, rentals, Airbnb. I've had my hands in every little bit of it. But the thing that I love the most and what I've been focused on primarily since 2012 is flipping. And so, I flipped over. I'm in San Diego County, so I flipped over 400 homes in San Diego, and
wow.
And I in this journey, I've found that I love flipping, but I love business more. I'm kind of boring in that my hobby is turned into business. As you can see behind me, I'm kind of a book nerd when it comes to, or bookworm when it comes to business books, and that's all. That's kind of what I do. I'm married of 10 years. That was the biggest negotiation and sale of my life.
Flipping houses is easy, huh?
Exactly. Got 3 kids. Luckily, they take after my wife and not me. And yeah, man, I'm just super pumped to be here. This presentation is the first time I've given it. It's been on my heart and my mind for a while. So I'm excited to share. Hopefully it helps somebody.
I'm excited for you to jump in. And before we do, I loved, kind of a little bit of your bio and story that was in the post, and really what kind of kickstarted everything for you. And especially at a young age was, that Christmas gift, the book that you got. Yeah. And that sounds like that was like, one of those key moments in your life that really changed the trajectory. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I was 17 years old. It was Christmas morning. And I got a book by Robert Kiyosaki that I'm sure a lot of honey badgers have read, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I had never, I'd always kind of worked hard. I'd always been out, newspaper routes. I got a job when I was 16, even though I didn't necessarily need it. And newspaper route when I was like 11. Anyway, my parents had always seen that I was kind of driven, but I'd never really found any kind of passion in business or real estate. And I think they were just trying to fill my stocking with something. I don't really think they were very intentional about it. And I had no idea what this book was, but I was curious. And so, after the festivities of the morning, I got to clean up, got a pile of stuff that I bring upstairs. On the top of it's that book. And again, I was just curious. So I opened it and I started reading it, and I didn't put it down. I read it. I don't think I ate breakfast that morning. I read it until it was done, cover to cover. And from that moment, I I was absolutely hooked by the idea and power of real estate. And that also was the genesis of my infatuation with business in general. Cause he talks about owning businesses in there too, although it's not as big of a concept as the real estate side.
Yeah.
So anyway, Rich Dad Poor Dad, by Robert Kiyosaki, is my kind of genesis moment into this world. And I've been trying to figure it out since.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I saw that. I wanted to have you kind of share that story a little bit. It's really powerful. And so, thank you for sharing that. That's great. All right. Yeah. You ready to run? You want to jump in?
Yeah, sure. Apparently my presentation wants to start on its own. It's like moving forward, without me. So, hold on. I gotta fix it. I'm sorry.
Okay. No worries. No worries. So all of you guys listening in, Brian, new honey badger. Where did, I love the little play on the GSD daily. That's
I know it was my team is a little annoyed with me sometimes because I don't stop.
I love it.
All right. I think we got it.
All right.
You got it?
I got it. The presentation's up.
So I've already kind of dove into some of this, but this is what I do. As I mentioned, I've done a lot of things, but I've found my passion in this niche of flipping homes, for lack of a better word. I love taking something old, tired, neglected, and distressed and infusing new life back into it. This is a property here in San Diego, Golden Hill area. It's just a fun renovation that we were able to kind of reconceptualize what this house was all about. We do big projects. So this is another example of a kind of a bigger project that we've done out in El Cajon. And again, just found something about the house that I liked and tried to capture it with the remodel. And in this case, I try to bring more of a modern edge to a really outdated house. And we do the small, cookie cutter starter homes also. Again, I don't discriminate. We just my mouse is a mind of its own. We don't discriminate against the houses or the sellers. We just try to figure out what our buyers could be looking for and give them the best quality product. I've brought in construction since I started because it's such an integral part of what we do, and I wanted to control the product. So anyway, I share these with you because I'm intimately connected to kind of the core topic that we're talking about today, which I'll get to in a little bit. But it's I'll blow the secret early. It's iBuying, and this new trend that we find ourselves in this industry. So there it goes again. All right, so today I've had a lot of iterations of in my career, but today, founder and owner of the San Diego Home Buyer. I started investing back in 2011 with $2,500 in the bank, and I had a partner at the time. So we both had $2,500, and we knew real estate. We just didn't know how to do what we wanted to do, which is get into this world of flipping. Over a 5-year period, me and that partner grew that company to 62 employees,
Wow.
Tens of millions of dollars in revenue. We had a commercial construction company. We bought apartment buildings, and we still flipped houses. But like a lot of people, partnerships are tough. There it goes again. Partnerships are tough. So anyway, I moved away from that partnership at the end of 2016. I took 2 years off of real estate. I actually had the honor and pleasure of working directly with Darren Hardy. I was his kind of VP of operations. And I didn't really want to own a business anymore. I didn't want to be in real estate full time anymore. I was kind of burnt out from the partnership issues. And man, that man has changed my life.
It's changed a lot. You had to be the only guy on the team, because I know his team's usually full of women. There at
the time we got it up to 4 for a second, and then I left, and I know he's down to 2 now.
Yeah. Before you jump into that, I'd love to hear that a little bit too. But you said the partnership was tough. What was kind of the lesson learned from that experience?
Man, there were so many. There's so many. I mean, I knew the writing was on the wall 2 years before I left, and so the lesson was I should have left earlier. It would have been better for both of us and for our team. Really, though, the main reflection that I had since then is we were 25 when we started that company, and I think I was kind of a late bloomer when it came to maturation in knowing myself.
Yeah.
And I wasn't as confident as I needed to be to really be in a partnership. I didn't really know what I wanted, and I kind of let a lot of my truth and what brought me joy kind of get pushed aside because I was trying to make the partnership work. And in the end, I wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't happy. And I wasn't really standing up for what I believed in that partnership. Now there was other issues too, and how money was being handled and whatnot that we just weren't seeing eye to eye on. And so, yeah. So, but the main reflection was, it took me leaving that partnership to really fully understand who I was and what I wanted to do with the rest of my life.
Man, I love that. And I mean, there's a lot there unpacked, but I think that's great for people listening in. I'm pro partnership, but I love what you just said, right? You got to know what's going to make you happy. Yeah. And how that complements. Yeah.
And I'm absolutely pro partnership as well. Now I realize that I've got my core business and the core business doesn't necessarily need the partner anymore. I've got that figured out. But I've been starting ancillary businesses and being involved in other things. And I love partnerships. It's just now I can go into them with really clear expectations on all sides. And it's not, it's not so contentious, I guess.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I didn't say, and I'll share real quick. I mean, I'm a man of faith. I owe everything to God. The success that I've had, the failures that I've had, all of it has been for good. And he saved my life, and he keeps doing it every day. My son is man. Now I can't go back. Oh, geez, hold on. How do I stop? All right,
we'll get it back while you're working through there.
This mouse is driving me bonkers. All right.
I'm sure there's some good Darren Hardy stories in there too.
I should probably come up with a talk just for that. But it's easy. I just recommend everything he does every time, even now. Everything he does has been life changing. His new thing. I don't know if anybody's not involved in it. I highly recommend this hero's journey thing that he's going through right now. It's really, really incredible and relevant to today.
That's awesome. Anyway, he keynoted twice for us. So he's, Jay and Michael did a lot with him.
Good.
Been there when he was keynoting. When he keynoted for us a couple times at our big
event. That was 2017 to 19.
Yep. Yeah. No. So it was prior to that. So yeah, okay. It was just prior to you being there, involved. He
doesn't do keynotes as much anymore.
What's that?
He doesn't do keynotes as much anymore.
No, I haven't seen it. He's fantastic on stage.
Yeah. All right. All right. I'll keep going. I gotta move quicker. Anyway, this is my family. As you can see, my kids are a lot prettier than I am. The title, you got to title the presentation, right? So the title of the presentation is Beat Big Tech and Win More Listings. We're going to focus on iBuying, but in a little bit. So one of the things that's been on my heart for a while is I want to approach this concept from a higher level at first. As I mentioned, I'm a bit obsessed with business, and there's a big lesson here. I think in that real estate professionals, real estate agents can learn from. iBuying is where we'll land, but there's a mindset shift that I'm hoping can help somebody. Although I will say that in this honey badger community, I'm sure you guys all know this and follow it, but success, 80% mindset, 20% taking action. The fact that you're here probably means you already have this down. But again, I just hope it helps one person. And one other disclaimer, after this presentation, you'll probably think I have a man crush on Jeff Bezos, and you're probably right. So just fair warning. All
right, cool.
So what we're going to cover today, is disruption is not as scary as you think. I want to shift the mindset from fighting the trend to leaning into it. And in my opinion, to win with sellers, real estate agents have to learn to shift their focus. And again, we'll get into that in a sec. But this is how I view how the typical real estate agent reacts to the word disruption. This whole concept of Zillow and Redfin, and I'm part of several forums and groups on Facebook, and you kind of see the direction that some of these conversations go, and realize that people are just scared shitless, for lack of a better word.
Yep.
And this is how I think people need to shift their view. This is how I know the best of the best in our business look at what's happening right now in our market. And I think you should too. And I'm going to kind of walk through how I think you can do this relatively easily, and using this concept of iBuying as an example. But overall, real estate needed to change. I hope everybody sees that by now. The older real estate companies got complacent and they weren't keeping up with the times. Tech companies emerged because there was a gap. There was a gap in the service to the customer. Customers wanted something that we as real estate professionals weren't giving them. And so smart tech entrepreneurs came in and said, okay, well, I'll give it to them. We as real estate agents, I think, forget sometimes, not all the times, but sometimes, that the customer is all that matters. We're self-employed, in other words, self-involved. We're independent contractors, right? We have bills to pay. It's totally understandable, but we really have to fight against the tendency. And we can't get it twisted either, because those big companies that I just showed are just the start. I mean, this is probably an outdated infographic too that I just found Googling of early stage real estate companies coming up. And there are some really interesting business models in some of these companies. And all they're doing is, there's a smart entrepreneur that's identifying something that the consumer wants. They're going out there and trying to serve specifically that want. And they're investing a lot of time, energy, and money to prove that it exists. And then they're figuring out how to solve it at scale.
Right. Trying to solve a problem. They're figuring out, they're just trying to solve the consumer problem that they have within the industry.
Exactly. And I think if what we can do is watch them, they're spending gobs of money and time. If they prove that they're solving a problem, then we just need to learn from it.
Yeah.
So Jeff Bezos, quote number one of several, I think. What we need to do is always lean into the future. When the world changes around you and when it changes against you, what used to be a tailwind is now a headwind. You have to lean into that and figure out what to do, because complaining isn't a strategy. And sometimes I feel like in our industry, people think complaining is a strategy, and that they're going to complain their way out of the problem they're in. If you aren't the one disrupting, then at the very least, don't fight it. Lean into it, and instead of being mad, step back and learn from it and capitalize on it. Here's what I know to be true about real estate that won't be disrupted. It's a ginormous transaction in people's lives. A lot of people's well-being and wealth live in their home. And so the decision of what to do about it will always eventually come down to a decision of trust. Who do they trust to help them with this process? There is no trust without relationship. People don't do business with a corporate monolith. People do business with people, and we have the advantage. We just have to get better. So I'm just going to bring an example. Probably don't need to again, but just because I'm going to beat a dead horse. Do we all remember when this company came out? Legalzoom. It provided a heck of a stir in the legal industry. I mean, I remember them freaking out, thinking that the whole industry was going to go away or change. But in the end, we've seen it. LegalZoom didn't replace attorneys. It just forced them to pivot. The ones that weren't providing enough value fell away. The ones that are still around, they thrived because they figured it out. And now we're in a position where they are more valuable because the easy things can be handled by an algorithm, but the hard things need experience. You should only be worried if the value you provide can be replaced by an algorithm or an assistant. And again, we're going to argue that I don't think that's the case anymore. The result in our space in real estate, and the same thing happened in the legal industry. The result of all this disruption is consumers are overwhelmed. They have too many options. There's way too much information out there. There's conflicting advice. If you search a question, you will get two very convincing answers that conflict with each other. Consumers have no idea who to trust, no idea what to do, and they're terrified of making the wrong decision. So this is why good real estate agents are needed now more than ever. You just have to understand that your value today is different than it was yesterday. Your customers want help. God knows they need help. They don't know who to trust to give it to them. And customers now more than ever need knowledge and confident leadership through the largest transaction of their life that over the last 5 years just got exceedingly more complicated. So this is, again, it's just a kind of looking at a higher level view of disruption. And just real quickly to break it down, this is all happening around you. And instead of, if you're not the one disrupting, which you don't have to be in our industry, I don't think, unless you want to go build a big old tech company. I think you just have to ask these three questions. What customers do you want to serve? Figure that out first. Now I think more than ever, it is important to specialize because it is getting complicated. So what customer segment do you want to serve? Ask yourself, what do they want? And this can be proven by looking at those disruptive companies we talked about that are in the process of scaling. If they're in the process of scaling, then they've proven they've got something that has some merit. And then figure out how you can give them that thing and you're in your level. And we're going to go through this exercise with sellers because inventory is low, listings are gold. And so I'm just going to assume for the rest of this presentation, the customers that we want to serve are home sellers. And then I'm going to assume the disruptive service that we want to be able to give to them is this iBuying option. And I'm going to go into why I believe that to be the case now. I've already blown the secret, right? The easy button is here and it's not going away. This idea of iBuying, I've been in the space, as I mentioned, since 2000. Oh, geez.
You've been in, for a while.
Yeah, since it goes. It's all over the place. I've been in since 2011. This is totally different than 4 years ago. The way this market is moving and what I see, in conversations with real estate agents and sellers alike. We live in an Amazon-inspired world. No patience required. That's what people are being taught. They want things easier, and the trend is only growing. These are the iBuying companies that are of note today. And all of these companies are spending gobs and gobs of Silicon Valley money. They've proven there is a want for sellers, And now they're educating the masses about in order to convince more people that this is a thing and that they should want it. It's become normal. This world we live in, where offering easy cash for homes, this used to be like the underworld. The world that I lived in was like disgraceful. Most sellers were often embarrassed that they were even considering taking a cash offer from somebody, in my position.
I mean, obviously you're a student of this, and for folks listening in, I mean, you're in San Diego, we're in Dallas. Like these companies are here, even if you think they're not in your local small market. There's investors like you that are, kind of modeling after this as well. So really the knowledge. But as you've studied these companies, like which one really impresses you the most that you think? I mean, obviously we know Zillow, but like of these companies, are you like, man, they've nailed it?
I don't know if, I don't know if any has yet, but I think the beast of Zillow is probably going to come on top. Redfin has a great option now. The thing with both of those is that they've built such a powerful platform for consumers to interact with for free. And now they're able to, they got their attention. We live in an attention economy now. So I think that, more than there's a lot to improve with their service, and they have a lot of growing pain to go through. But in regards to who's probably going to come out on top, I can't look past Zillow and Redfin.
Yeah. Redfin's got my attention. I get those updates every day.
I like their platform better. I use, when I don't have the MLS, I use Redfin.
It's crazy.
So yeah. Okay. So a quick tangent, going, to dive in a little bit to Zillow. Most people don't know this. This is from their website. And most real estate agents that I've talked to really have no clue what their competition is, which I find shocking. But 8.5% is what they're advertising. They're advertising that their service chart is costing 8.5%, and they advertise on there too that they handle all the repairs, but they deduct the costs. And this has gone up over time, and it will keep going up. All these companies end up the economy of scales process. It comes down to an equation. That's what the investors have known forever. And right now, what these companies are doing is they're spending gobs of money to buy market share, and they're taking a loss on this initial purchase because they're hoping that their downline is going to be able to recoup it. But they're soon going to find out that they're paying the loss they're paying is way too much. And they're going to keep increasing their margins. Most agents don't know that, Zillow's charging 8.5%. And that in the grand scheme of things, they also don't know that Zillow is really only looking for paint and carpet type properties. They want something that they don't really have to do much with. They'll deny the house if the roof needs any work, if there's minimal wood damage, if there's active or previous signs of previous leaks, even just a hint of a foundation issue, and a laundry list of other things will immediately deny the seller from this service. But they don't care. They're using this service as a lead generation machine, their main business model. If they don't buy it, they've developed a system to monetize that lead in a million different ways. And their premier agents are getting a lot of opportunities to go grab a listing, because now they know that somebody is potentially interested in selling their house. Mm-hmm. And I just, going back to the main topic of looking at it from the beginning, is don't fight the trend, just learn from it. This is what sellers want. So again, we just got to give it to them. So I'll go back to the topic of, my daughter just came in. Sorry. I gotta lock the door. I'll go back to the main topic of in case I still need to try to convince somebody that this iBuying option is not going anywhere. COVID has changed the world as we know it. And it's only magnified the desire in the minds of sellers. They don't want a bunch of strangers walking through their house. It was always an inconvenience. Now it's actually dangerous. And I don't think these vaccines are going to fix this anytime soon. I think there's a lot of PTSD that we need to get through as a culture. And I do believe this will linger. And that's to say, even if the vaccines are proven to be effective and we don't have to keep going back and we don't have any more flare-ups. So the desire has grown in the minds of the seller. They're more hesitant to list normally. Also, in addition to living in an Amazon-inspired world, we now live in an HGTV-inspired world.
Yes.
Chip and Joanna Gaines they're the face of what has changed us forever. Millennials are now the biggest home buying demographic. And I know this because my wife and I are part of this embarrassing bunch. We want the finer things in life, but we don't know how to get our hands dirty to make it happen. Generalization, I know. There's really handy millennials out there. So if you're one of them, I'm sorry. It's not about you. But look, renovated homes are getting more of a premium now than ever. I know this because I look at the numbers. We know what we're selling above a non-renovated home, and it is just astronomically bigger. And all that means, plus going back to the COVID, buyers as a whole value the home more than they did just a year ago. That's why we see home prices going up right now. They value their home. The home is now more than just a home. Before the pandemic, the trend was smaller homes and more urban lifestyle. That is completely reversed, and people are going to take a long time to get back to it. They're going to be scared of the next pandemic. Their home is now a homeschool. It's now their office, their place of entertainment, their date nights, and so on and so on and so on. So the result of all of this is that cash buyers can offer more to sellers because their renovated homes are getting more of a premium.
Love it.
Yeah. And then last but not least is our interest rates. This chart shows mortgage rates going back to 1975. I'm sure some people in this group were around 19%. Are you kidding me? That's crazy. I cannot even imagine. Anything under about a 7 right now, and historically speaking, is considered low. And obviously, we've been spoiled for the last couple of years. But lower interest rate, they make it more attractive to finance repairs. So rather than paying for them out of pocket, I mean, it's much harder to come up with $100,000 cash than it is to pay $200,000 more for one done for you. Even with rates going up, cash beyond a down payment is a luxury most families don't have. And the result is a greater premium, again, for well-renovated homes because they don't need to come up with the money to do it themselves. So hopefully by now, I've been able to convince you that this trend isn't going anywhere anytime soon. And at the risk of sounding repetitive, I'm going back to my man. For all these big reasons and more, the winds have already shifted. The sellers are being trained to want to at least know what this fast and easy option looks like. So I am going to argue that if you want to serve sellers, you can't fight it, you can't complain about it, and you can't try to convince those sellers that they're wrong. At least not yet. Don't try to convince them before you even build trust. Shift your sales and use the trend to your advantage. So let's just give them what they want. Another Bezos quote. And this one is entirely true that we all in this business need to like print out and put in front of us on our mirror every day. The world has changed. It's not about shouting about how good your service is anymore. It's spending more time making your service something worth other people talking about.
Yeah.
So
I love that. I mean, it's that. Yeah, I was listening to Roland's Business Lunch podcast where he had the 250 episode where they did the replay from Traffic and Conversion where they had Sir Richard Branson on, and that's Roland asked, remember and ask him that question, and you look at kind of the theme that you're talking about here, right? Modeling success, modeling great success. That's one of the things I've always loved about Darren and his stuff is he if it's great, he's going to do it. And so, the Zappos models, the Virgin, experience. So like, there's some great things to model after that we all have to factor into the our customer experience journey that they have with us. I love this quote, and I mean, it's so spot on.
Yeah. Jeff Bezos, he's a man, but I think people get so caught up in the fact that Amazon's this giant company and we can't learn from them because they're not related. But in the end, it all comes down to human behavior. And all Amazon is doing is capturing, is solving a problem for human behavior, and then living into the times we live in right now. And we can just take what Darren is amazing at, right? Darren's amazing at seeing this guy, Jeff Bezos, and what he does and how he does it, and breaking it down to principles that anybody can apply. And it's probably, one of the best takeaways that I've got. I'm a completely different person just for being around him for 2 years.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to assume that I convinced you. So we'll move on now to giving sellers what they want. Now, again, going back to this whole idea of taking disruption, learning from it, and figuring out how to do it. In the grand scheme of things, like if we look at how hard it should be to do this, right? We're talking about it's millions of dollars that people have to pay cash for home. This should be one of the hardest disruptive services to solve for a mom and pop level real estate agent. And I'm going to show you that it's super, super easy. So all we have to do is source our internal iBuying solution. And EXP, right? EXP offers express offers, multiple potential cash offers for your home. They're out there lead generating for us. I think this platform is okay for a quick fix. I think it's okay for a quick fix. But if you're in the business of trying to serve sellers for the long haul, then I think you are doing yourself a disservice by relying on any service like this. If you work with buyers, your preferred lender partner is an integral part of your business, right? If I'm going forward, I'm going to argue that if you work with sellers, your iBuying solution is an integral part of your business. And in similar ways, you need to trust them and know that they're serving you the right way. And EXP, I think, I know very little about this service because again, I'm a big old noob. But when it comes down to it, from what I understand, this gives options to find those cash buyers relatively quickly, but you don't really know what you're getting still. Let's try to move past EXP, and I'm going to give you a warning on before we go down on how to actually source your own partners for this. You just have to be very careful about who you choose to work with. The old adage remains true. In this case, hire slow, fire fast. Partner up slow and fire them fast. These buyers will be, as I mentioned, like a preferred lender. They'll be an extension of you. You're going to put them in a situation where it's very easy to jerk you around. There's a lot of bad actors out there. As I mentioned, this world used to live in the underworld. And so in the underworld, there's a lot of things that people got used to doing that I hate about our little niche of the industry. But they're out there, right? So It's your livelihood, your reputation. Don't put it on the line without proper vetting. We give you 3 things to look out for. First, be wary of the wholesaler. Wholesaling is when a buyer puts a property under contract, then sells the contract to the end buyer for a fee. I love wholesalers. I work with wholesalers. I say this, there's a lot of good ones out there. I see it all the time though. They are not the ones that are on the hook. They don't have the money to buy the house. So when they put an offer in on a property for a seller that you bring them, they are using their algorithms, and they've done it. If they're really good, they've done it a lot, but they can make mistakes. They can miss something because they're not the one who's going to end up actually having to adopt that house when they buy it. And if they miss something and they can't find a buyer for it, then you're SOL.
Yeah.
They don't have the ability to perform. If I go in and offer and I miss something, assuming I've inspected the property before, sometimes we have to go blind and we have to have an inspection contingency, but assuming I've inspected the property, I'm offering non-contingent. If I miss something, I'm buying my mistake. These wholesalers don't do that. So just be cautious. It's okay, I think, to have that as an option. They do provide a service because they can, they're out there looking for these buyers all the time. Just be careful. Number 2 is vet the track record and the source of funds. There are a lot of pretenders out there, newly graduated from your local How to Flip real estate guru training program. It's pretty simple. You just dive in. Don't let them, there's really, really charismatic people out there that have never or have done very few transactions in this space, and they don't have access to capital, and it just gets really, really messy. There's enough really good people out there that you don't need to deal with that. Let them get their experience from someone else and then come to you when they've got it down. And first, last, and probably most important is vet their business values. As I mentioned, there's a lot of bad actors. Whoever you bring in, they're an extension of you. They need to value your seller client as much as you do. You need to be confident that if you bring them in, that they will behave in a way that you're comfortable with. I'm going to go to my other man crush, Steve Jobs, although he was kind of a tyrant, but still a genius. This idea of being very selective of who you work with. I'm just, work with A players only. Continue, vet them hard. If they mess up, fire them. Find someone else. Get a mix. You want a few people. You want 3 to 5. I think is a good mix of people that can come in and perform on a cash sale. You want a mix of rehabbers, of buy and hold investors, developers, Airbnb operators, if you work in that kind of environment. Whatever else is a viable investment strategy in your market.
That's cool. That's great.
Yeah. If you get a good mix, then first off, you don't, I as much as I love to be the only buyer coming into a situation, I'm not going to be as aggressive of a buyer when I know I don't have competition. And so as much as it hurts my business model, for the best thing, again, it's all about the customer. In this case, it's all about the seller. The best thing to do is get a little bit of competition. Make people know that they're not going to be able to steal the property, and work with good people that hopefully never would anyway. Okay, so let's go find our iBuyers. This is the easiest, most reliable. Okay, my mouse. Most reliable way to do it is find your title company and have them do all the work for you, because they have all the information. All you need to do is go back to the 12 months in your area and do a title search of everybody that's bought a cash buyer, everybody that's bought a property for cash. Anybody shows up there more than once, they're a prospect. They're a prospect for you. So I mean, I should stop here because I think these other routes are just take too long, and they're not as reliable. You're getting a lot of people that could lie to you. But just for the sake of throwing other options out there in case you don't want to do that one, there's Facebook. Facebook groups galore. And I'm sure if you typed, hey, I'm looking for a reliable buyer in Detroit, I'm sure they're going to show up. There's Google. If you look, just Google sell my house fast, you'll get a lot of newbies. You'll get a lot of people that probably aren't the type of people that you want to bring into your sellers, but it'll give you a long list of people to vet if that's the route you want to go. I will go back to the title search thing, much easier, but that's an option. Meetup is great. There's a bunch of meetup groups all over the place that are geared towards this investing space. This is actually over the long haul. It's good to show your face every once in a while because you will find those mom and pop investors that might buy one or two a year that are great to know because they can pay more, or they're just looking for something really specific. And it's just good to have your Rolodex. There's, family offices, people that will show up that, will have a bunch of money and they're just looking for, they'll buy more than and they haven't bought yet. So anyway, meetup groups are great. This National Real Estate Investors Association, they have organized events everywhere. San Diego has one. I think most major MSAs have a group. So those are two good options as well. Again, if you're in this for the long haul, it's something that you just do as part of your service, or you have someone on your team that's part of these groups that go every once in a while, not all the time, just to find new names to vet. Okay, so now you've got your iBuying solution. Let's assume that you found it, right? You found a couple of people that you feel confident in proceeding. Now all you got to do is you just got to tell sellers about it. You got to make it part of your service offering and what you market out there. Jeff Bezos quote: "Work on your product 70%, make it great." Right? He didn't say don't talk about it. He said just don't talk about it as much as you used to. Work on your product more, and then still you got to shout about it, but it's only 30% of the time. So you still got to tell people about it. Here's an example from just an absolute giant in our market, Dan Beer. He's got it right on his menu, right? Instant cash offer. Take it or leave it. It's just this guy has a uber successful business. Learn from what he does, and or don't. I don't know. Just take it if you want it. This is another uber successful listing agent in our market. I mean, he's all over the place, and this is his tagline now. He has a solution for them that he'll be able to buy the house, right? He probably never actually has to do it, but he builds it into his platform, and now it's just part of his service offering. Again, I mean, he's just a ginormous listing agent, so take it if you will. This is another guy. This is John Glutch. He's my mentor in EXP, right? He brought me in. Yeah. So this is what he puts riders on his for sale sign. Another just simple way. Again, going back to Zillow, right? Zillow uses this as a lead generation machine.
It's exactly what it is.
Exactly what it is. And as long as you have the ability to perform, which you do now if you've got a good buyer on your side, then go out and market it. So it doesn't have to be fancy either. So I've got a really good friend who also came over with me to EXP. He crushes it at this. He's a single listing agent. All he does is focuses on listing agents or sellers. I think he did something like $300,000 in gross commissions in Q1 by himself. All he does is he just markets as all of just like these investors do. where it's just, hey, if they need to sell fast, they fill out a form on pay-per-click, and he gets a lead. He's just using it as lead gen, right? He knows that if these buyers or these sellers are filling out the form, they've got more motivation than most.
Right.
And he differentiates himself by instead of going there and just saying, hey, yeah, I'll pay you $200,000 for your house. He goes as an individual. He doesn't tell them they're an agent, because a lot of the time in these cases, these types of leads aren't loving the idea of getting a listing presentation. But he just goes and listens. All he does is just listen to the seller and hears their pains and what are they trying to solve. And he has built his team around him, me being one of his iBuying partners, where he can offer solutions specific to the seller's need after he listens to them. He builds the trust first. He doesn't tell them that they're wrong. He listens to what they're actually trying to do and what their motivations are, and then he offers them solutions. A lot of the times it comes down to it's a simple option close.
Yeah.
He lists many of these houses. And the other thing, which is another one of those disruptive services that I think listing agents really need to look into, is working with a contracting company to be able to actually do repairs for the seller if that's what they want to do. It's a whole nother topic that eventually maybe I'll talk about, but that trend is growing and growing fast also. But anyway, he does that. He has a cash offer solution. He goes there and he option closes. Again, we talk about it, right? Sellers have too many options. The option close is super simple. Consumers still want options, but they have too many. So he's a master at this. He listens. He's just there to help, and then he reiterates what they're looking for, and he provides them two options: option A or option B. Now, this client is not figuring out, oh, should I work with this guy, this agent, or the other buyer, or that person. He's instead focusing on, should I choose option A or choose option B? And so it takes the focus off of saying yes or no to this guy, his name's Kelly, and then saying yes or no to these options. And he boils it down to just two instead of the 20 that these guys, these sellers have out there. And I'll give you an example of how this has come in extremely handy for him in particular. It's just one example. I mean, he does this all the time, but he has this luxury condo in this beach community called Oceanside here in San Diego. It's $1 million condo. The seller wasn't in a hurry when they started, and they just wanted to sell traditionally. It was in and out of escrow 2 times. Because it's it's $1 million plus condo in Oceanside is a lot of money for that market, or was. Now it's yeah. In and out of escrow 2 times. The seller, in the meantime, found a house that they wanted to buy, and they needed the money out of this to be able to afford it. It was a new home. They had to put down a giant deposit with the builder. So Kelly. After it fell out of escrow twice because nothing that they did, the buyers didn't perform. He brought us in, and the seller at the time, now he was just sick of it. He just needed to know that he could buy this house. It was his dream house. And he took, I think we were like $150,000 less than they were under contract for, because it's a giant condo. And I was scared to buy it because it's a condo that's over $1 million, but here nor there. We still did it. And so we bought it. We solved his problem. Kelly's he reduced his commission in order to make it happen, but he's also getting the relist when we finish our remodel. In the end, he's going to make more commission. The seller is super happy because he didn't lose his dream house. In the end, this is an investment property for him, and he owned it forever, and he made like $900,000 on it, so he's fine. Everybody's solutions were solved, and he was able to do this simply because he had us in our market as an option. Yep. So anyway,
that's great.
Hopefully that helps. So a bonus to this whole thing, which again, my friend is figuring out on his own. As you get more comfortable with this whole process, you realize that you can take a few down for yourself. It's an entirely different business model to build around like a business model to do this, the iBuying option. Like it takes a lot of work, but to take down 1 or 2 a year, assuming it's ethical and assuming you disclose everything and all that jazz. I mean, it's a great way to relatively easily add some, juice to your bottom line. And you get to kind of pick and choose, so.
Too, Brian, the thing, for a lot of folks, starting out with this, they find the investors and, even in our case in Oklahoma, when, we had, the brokerage there, we had the investor, and then the investor, one of them was like, hey, I think you might, do a little bit better job and focus on this if you had some upside in it other than your commission. And so ended up partnering. And then, over time, ended up being the investor ourselves, right? Like you said, being able to be one of those options. And I think it's, if you're in a market, I mean, to me, it's almost a must to add into your business model. Yeah.
I mean, again, I agree. I don't think this trend is going anywhere. If you have the money to be able to pull it off, dude, now you control everything,
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about being able to perform or not. You can actually give them firm offers. And, I think it's hard to do at scale. But again, as onesie twosies to start. And then if you, again, like I did, I loved it. So I just figured out how to
do it. Yeah.
Just going back again, so that was the example of just this one concept of a service of iBuying. There are dozens of little services that are being offered out there as one service solution company that they've proven that there's a desire out there for it. I think it's a lot easier for us as real estate professionals to just add that on to our already growing offering of services for sellers. As I mentioned before, I think this idea that Compass Concierge kind of went with. If you can figure out how to get one of these beat up properties and say, hey, I can find a buyer that's gonna pay you $300 for it, or we could pay $50,000 to fix it up, and I've got a way to do that so I can finance it for you, and then you're gonna sell it for $450,000. Now you can charge a boatload of commission. And be worth every penny. I mean, I've presented this option to sellers before too, and we'll make just as much as we would flipping it because we don't have all this financing costs. And they're paying us a lot of money, but they're making $40,000-$50,000 more than they would have if they didn't do it. They just got to have the stomach for it, which not everybody does, but it's out there.
Yeah.
Anyway, just some final thoughts and hopefully a give that it will help some of you honey badgers. You got to know your numbers. I think, again, going back to working on your service, if you're going to work with sellers, this is just something that I think you just need to know. I mean, you need to understand why buyers can pay certain amounts and why they can't. I've just so often that I come across real estate agents that bring a property. It's like, oh, it's got $100,000 spread. You should be able to make plenty of money. You're going to make a ton of money. I'm like, it's $80,000 in construction. I got to go sell the property afterwards. You got to know the numbers so you can at least give general ideas of where these cash offers are going to fall. And as I mentioned before, I believe wholeheartedly that Zillows, Redfins, and all of these, they're going to be playing with the same rules that we are eventually. Their investors are eventually going to require that they don't lose tens of thousands of dollars on every property they buy. So their numbers will come down. So you need to know the numbers. You need to know why the numbers are what they are. What is the seller giving up by taking a cash offer? The net sheets has always been something that I think listing agents are very familiar with, but you need to break down what a cash offer is going to look like. And I think you should be able to do this on your own without having to wait for somebody else to tell you. It's really simple calculation. You figure out how much repairs are, how much it's going to sell for, how long it's going to take, and then you've got a general idea of what you can pay. And I know I'm out of time, so I'll go quick. Mention repair costs. You got to know these in your market. Again, as a listing agent, I think this is something you should know, because you're helping them sell an asset. The asset can earn a return on investment if you invest a certain amount of money, regardless of whether they're selling to a cash offer or not. I think you should understand repairs as a listing agent. So as a free give, I've got a simplified offer analysis form spreadsheet, a detailed property inspection sheet that lines up directly with a budget estimator. So you walk the property, take your notes, and your notes line up in order with the budget estimator. It's relatively simple, although it can, there's a lot of experience in these forms. And also some of the costs are specific to San Diego. So take that with a grain of salt. But I believe you can use these forms, very easily edit it for your market. And you can hopefully quicken up your learning. Your learning pace. Anyway.
Yeah, these forms are gold. I'm telling you, you guys, take advantage of Brian offering and giving those to you guys. Man, to have that in your toolbox, your tool bag, and speaking with sellers, to be able to have this information. I mean, it's absolutely gold.
Yeah, there's millions of dollars of painful lessons and mistakes in these forms. So hopefully they help. They're big, but they're very. We use these to this day. So that's it. That's what's been on my mind for a while. Again, disruption is not as scary as you think, and don't fight these trends. Just if we learn to lean into them, we'll come out on top, and in this case, win more listings. Again, just in case, if you're in San Diego, I do a lot of I do weekly emails about our market specifically. I mean, I analyze our market very closely, since I'm very subject to short-term ups and downs. And so I offer this to those San Diegans out there, probably not relevant to anybody else, but you're more than happy to, it's been very effective for a marketing element. And I think more real estate agents should do this in their market.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not about me as a real estate agent. It's about the market, and I'm just providing value. And now I'm kind of building market authority. So anyway, maybe you sign up and somehow mimic it for your market.
Yeah, I love it, man. It's absolute gold. It works. I can vouch for that. I know everything that you're talking about and you're doing really, really works.
And just in case there's that, I'll leave it there until you close it down.
Cool. We'll get you in the Honey Badger group, so all the Honey Badgers listening can connect. When we get you in there, if you want to on the post, if you want to put that there in the comments on the post, that'll be fantastic.
Absolutely.
Brother, I really, really appreciate you. Tons and tons of nuggets and gold that you shared in there. And man, it's great to have you in the community and a Honey Badger with all of us.
Yeah, thanks, John. I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that invite. I gotta find it, but I'm looking forward to it.
I'll send it to you as soon as we jump off here, and you make sure all of you guys connect with Brian. And man, thank you for stepping in and adding a ton of value to the community today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity. It's like I said, it's been an honor.
Got it.
Cool. Thanks.